Hi, everybody, and welcome. This is Chris Preimesberger. I'm the editor of eWEEK, and thanks for joining us today on eWEEK eSpeaks. Our guest today is Jim Wilson. Jim is an instructor, and a very popular one, in Java and Android application development on the Pluralsight platform, which is an online learning platform. Jim, welcome.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate the chance to be here, Chris.
Good to meet you and talk about the anniversary of Java. Java is everywhere, and we might need to define it here a little bit for somebody who's not really familiar with it, but I think most people are. In 1995 or so, Java came to the fore through Sun Microsystems, a special development team of theirs, and it's an application protocol that is basically in every mobile device that we have today on the planet. And think about all those phones, all those laptops, satellites, television networks. I mean, we could go on and on about it. Jim, talk about, if you could, your connection with it and the importance that Java has in the world today.
Sure. Well, thanks. Basically, if you think of my connection with it personally, is that I do a lot in the Android platform since even before Android was released, which is where I do most of my work with Java. But in terms of Java as what it does, I mean, the thing that Java really redefined for us was that they got us up out of the weeds. Right? We finally got a chance to really start working on what we're doing as opposed to working on a computer sort of thing. And the thing that was so innovative about Java is that it's both a language and a runtime. You know, and here 25 years later, we go, oh, well, lots of things do that. Well, nothing big was doing that back then. And that was what really redefined things. You know, I always think one of the coolest things about Java is like I was a big TiVo guy from the earliest days. TiVos were running Java, right? So I'm sitting here at home picking my recordings and there's Java running underneath, all the way up to what you're talking about with satellites and stuff. You know, wherever you want to be, Java's there. And that's what we repeatedly see.
Yeah, how would you define Java? It's a very low level, which is not to disparage it. It's just that it's connective tissue for so many different things, isn't it?
It is, and it's. I always kind of think of it as this interconnector. That's kind of how I think of it. Is that it's from a language purist standpoint. It's actually a higher level in the sense that there's an abstraction over the computer, and it does a lot of housekeeping for you. But it's very low level in the sense that it doesn't get in the way. It allows you to connect the things you want to do and leverage whatever it is you're trying to do while gluing those things together. So the thing that was so innovative at the time for Java and remains so is that it was a language, which is how we interacted with it as programmers, but it was this runtime that just took care of just tons and tons of housekeeping for the computer. And that's where we get so much power out of it, is that it just takes those level details away and gives us this common target as we build our application. And now, of course, there's specialization along the way, but just this kind of known space you can walk into and connect into such diverse things and bring them together is really what pushed Java out front.
Yeah. I've got something that I can bounce off of what you just said. I started my IT technical journalism career in '95 of all times. Mm-hmm. And the first job I had was as a contractor to Sun Microsystems, and I did a new products newsletter for them that went to international. And in one of the stories I wrote and edited for that publication in '95 was a story about something called an applet contest, mm-hmm. and that they were asking for developers to devise an applet. And I'm thinking, okay, what's an applet? And what's Java? So I had no idea. So I had to take a deep dive right off the bat and figure out what this protocol is all about. It was originally designed for television, believe it or not the computer. So I went right to the horse's mouth, so to speak. I hate using those cliches, but I just did. Mm-hmm. I went to Dr. James Gosling and sat down with him, and Dr. Gosling was the man who owned the Java project. It had been called Oak before that. And I sat down with him. I said, could you explain to me exactly, in the simplest terms possible, what Java does? He goes, it is simple. Think of this. Think of a small handheld device. Back then it was the Palm Pilot. That's what they had. He goes, think of that. Now, think of a desktop computer. We didn't really have laptops back then. We had some, but not that many. He goes, think of a desktop computer. He goes, you got that? I said, yeah. He goes, then think of a big hunk server behind it. He used the word big hunk. I'm thinking, okay. He says, line them all up. In Java, they look exactly the same.
Yep.
And the bells are going off. I go, oh, I understand it now.
Yep.
And that was the simple way that he explained it. And that's how I explained it in the story. And I think that was the way to do it. It was fortunate for me that I started off at that level, learning that important bit of IT history. And I've been in IT ever since. I'm not saying it's because of Java, but I think it had something to do with it. Now, tell me, Jim, too, about Java and the development that's going on now. Here we are 25 years later after the launch, and it is just innovating and helping developers innovate all the time. How's it doing that?
Well, basically, it kind of comes back to that same picture you just painted, is that they kind of have this really good separation of responsibility. I mean, that's what Java really did so well, was that we'll manage your memory, we'll manage this underlying platform, you just write to our target. As we go forward, is things like, the cloud, right? Is that, whatever cloud provider you want, there is a Java API to plug you in there, right? As you move to microservices and package deployments, Java was really kind of built with that in mind, right? Because it's just got these, even though they couldn't have known it at the time, right? But its approach was so effective about that, because if you think back, going back to even the earliest days, if you're going to have one platform that can run a coffee maker or a mainframe, right, and literally both of those things are true, sort of thing, or run on a mainframe, it was just that separation. And so they were kind of really ahead even 25 years ago, because what is microservices? Microservices is really well-targeted, well-enclosed, well-defined responsibility with clear interconnection points. That's what Java was doing right from the very start. It's just, as we keep innovating and we keep moving, these are just various scales of the same problems. And Java's positioning with that separation of responsibility, easy connectivity, well-defined areas of responsibility, just allows it to keep moving with these innovations.
Yeah. Got about a minute left or so. Jim, what are some of the things that you're actually teaching about Java and Android application development when you're teaching? What are some of the key things that you want to get across to your students?
Honestly, the key thing is don't be afraid, right? Is that get in there and try it. It's just that Java runs these things so effectively, and the same things we do very simply to present a simple user interface are the same things we do to get really deep down inside of it. I mean, one of the coolest things Android has now is localized machine learning capabilities on the device, accessible from a Java API.
Right.
I mean, think about what you can do, and has all the cloud handoff stuff in the back. So it's really that kind of, again, it goes back to the same ideas. Well-defined areas of responsibility, keep it enclosed, and you can do whatever you need to do.
All right. Developers who really are serious about the business need to know Java and how to use it. And the Pluralsight platform is a learning platform, is a great way to get that education in it.
Absolutely. And just one thing, we actually have a brand new Java course of mine that came out today. So it's a great time. It literally went live this morning. So it's a great time for it to check it out.
25 years after it was launched. That's great stuff. Very, that fits. That's what it's called, congruous, I guess. Jim Wilson, thank you very, very much for talking to us about Java and the history of it and the development of it. And I really appreciate your time.
Thanks a lot, Chris. I really appreciate it.
And for everybody watching along, hey, have a great eWEEK. Take care. Thanks for joining us on eWEEK eSpeaks. Go to eWEEK.com to hear more conversations with IT thought leaders.